Hey everybody, welcome to the MMA H.E.A.T podcast. I'm Karyn Bryant.
And Alan Joban.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, we weren't here last week. Yes, we're going to have a little master tweet theater, I think we'll do it. A lot of stuff going on with Daniel Cormier and Jon Jones. We know that DC now had to withdraw from the fight, and Jones is going to face OSP for the interim belt. We'll get into that. We also, since we were off last week, we didn't really get to talk about Conor versus Nate at UFC 200, Aldo versus Frankie for the interim featherweight title, and then also there is the fights this weekend. So we'll get into a little bit of Ben Rothwell and Junior Dos Santos. But before we start, Alan, didn't you sign a new contract?
Oh, wow. Where's the champagne? No champagne?
I don't know champagne. Sorry.
It's a one-time thing.
I know. No.
Yeah, I got my new contract signed.
So how many fights?
4-fight contract right now with the UFC, and if you don't know, if in fighting, it's good to get your contract out of the way, because every time you get your contract out of the way, that means you can somewhat renegotiate.
Okay.
Your pay goes up. Every time you win, your pay goes up, but renegotiating a contract is always great for the fighters. It gives you more leverage, and it shows that the organization is willing to put effort in to push you. So yeah, it was great to have the UFC sign a new contract with me, make a little more money.
Nice.
Everybody's happy.
So was the O'Reilly fight the last one on the other contract, or was it just that you guys felt like we should go in and renegotiate after a big win?
I was near the end of my contract.
Okay,
it was near the end of it, and it's any fighter nearing the end of his contract, they want to get a win on that fight. You don't want to go in a contract negotiations off of a loss, and you have no leverage there.
Right.
So it was good to get a good win in Brisbane, and then renew the contract. Cool. Now things are looking good. Should have some very good news. Fight-wise, daytime dates real soon.
Well, cool, and I know the timing may be a little rough, but it would have been great if you could have been on that June card here, right in LA.
Yeah, it would have been a little early.
Yeah, a little early, but that would have been good. Well, congratulations,
Thank
Al.
you so much.
And you've been renewed on the MMA H.E.A.T podcast. He's picked up for more episodes.
I got signed back. Things are going good.
Nice. We don't pay. You don't get a raise. There's no raise in back now.
Water.
Hey.
It's all good.
You get to pet the puppy. She's cute.
Things are good.
Yeah. So let's spend the first couple rounds here on this whole Jon Jones DC situation. So we looked it up because we weren't sure what an interosseous membrane is. That's what
you
DC.
remembered it.
Yeah, that's what his injury is. And apparently it's like a membrane between your bones and things. But I know DC's, you can't wrestle all your life and not have some injuries and have some things. But we know that that's not a decision that he made lightly. I work with DC a lot. I know how focused he is on Jon Jones. I don't think there's any, mystery about how badly he wanted to face him. OSP announced as the replacement for an interim belt. What do you think about that whole interim belt thing already and OSP being the choice?
So OSP, I know is fighting him, but it is
interim belt.
They are doing interim belt.
Yeah, and apparently now it seems to be the case that it's basically if you don't defend in like 6 months or so, because if you think about Conor's fight was in December, he's not fighting in July, so now they're going to be an interim belt for that. So it makes sense. DC fought, we figured it out was last October or something, right? Was the last time he fought. So it will have been 6 months, without a defense. Do you like that choice of OSP? He's number 6.
I'm excited for this fight. Yeah. I am. I'm a fan of DC. I've said it numerous times on the podcast before. I'm a fan of DC as a fighter, as a professional. What he's done on UFC tonight, he's achieved high level success in many areas. And we're from the same hometown, Lafayette.
Yeah, that's right.
Lafayette, Louisiana. So. The thing about DC though that I've been noticing in the build up for this fight, I don't feel like it's himself. I feel like he's been reaching a lot. His as we're gonna go over later, the Twitter doesn't seem to be himself in here.
Do you mean like at the press conference, at the Unstoppable press conference? You didn't think
he seems the obvious that Jon Jones is in his head,
right?
And I feel like it's been making my confidence in DC waver, because you're only as good as your confidence.
Yeah.
If DC's not confident going into this fight, it's gonna be a tough matchup. It's been in his head a little bit too much.
Well, yeah, and I feel like the first time he fought, he admitted that Jon got in his head. He was like, he got too emotional. So he wanted to kind of separate himself from emotion going forward, but Jon is that guy. Like, Jon is the guy that can get under his skin. I think what happened at the Unstoppable presser, and where a fundamental misunderstanding is, like at the press conference, people started booing DC, and in his head, and to a lot of people, it's hard for him to understand how he's the bad guy.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? He's like, listen, the guy, he's a hit and run. He does drugs.
He immediately
he's
goes
done
to
all
that,
this. He's like, so it's hard for him to understand why he's the bad guy in the situation. And it is a little weird.
After playing the good guy role, he's confused by it.
Yeah, he's confused. Like, I'm the Olympian. I'm the guy who didn't screw up. How come I'm the bad guy? And I think that bothers him a little bit. But John, I think, like we were saying before, if he just goes all in, which it seems like he's doing now, and just embraces being the bad guy, the heel, like it serves him. He's really good at that.
And for people to boo DC, it shows that the hardcore fans kind of appreciate that. And the reason they were booing is because they know that John is pretty much the best pound for pound fighter in the world, and he was never stripped of his belt.
Right.
DC is completely correct, and lots of things come with being a champion.
Yes.
You have to be professional, show up on time, don't get in multiple corrects and drugs and all this other crap that John gets into. But when it comes to the true test, that when you go to the water cooler on Monday morning and you say, if you lock this guy and this guy in a cage, who would win? That's what people are booing about, because they still see John Jones as the baddest man on the planet.
Yeah, well, and he is amazing. So here's the thing. Initially, when it got announced, DC, I'll read what he said. The decision not to fight on April 23rd is one of the hardest decisions I've had to make. I've been scheduled to fight 18 times, and I've made the walk every time. I want to apologize to John Jones, Lorenzo Fertitta, Dana White, and all the UFC fans for not being able to defend my title. This truly saddens me, but as with everything else in life, it goes on. The recovery should not take very long, and I can't wait to compete and defend my title again. For all the fans, thanks for your support. I appreciate each and every one of you, DC. Okay, so that's nice. And if you want to read what John said initially there, Alan, his first response.
It starts off somewhat polite. This is John Jones. I don't wish any injuries on anyone. I hope that you have a healthy recovery, Daniel. With a little jab at the end, enjoy the belt. Enjoy the belt, but not bad. This is all fun right here.
Right, and John and I had retweeted, because John had put out a thing on Instagram where he had said, like, hey, I really want to fight, and please give me anybody from a heavyweight to whatever. So then we find out.
And I really that was
cool.
I really respected John for that. If you guys didn't see that, he put it on Instagram.
Yeah.
And he said, look, my fans, I owe it to my fans, I owe it to myself. I'll fight anybody, heavyweight, light heavyweight, and that's the John Jones that I really appreciate. He's just being a fighter, saying I want to fight, I want to get in there. I appreciated that. They got in a little crazy after that.
So
that was a great one by John
OSP gets announced as the replacement, and so you'll be Jones and I'll be DC here.
Oh man, well, do I have to? Okay.
I don't know. We need
grab some water for
to
this
read all of it. And I was warning Wade. I said this might degenerate into something weird. So you don't have to read it as John Jones.
Yeah,
but
right. I don't want to get crazy. But so following that tweet, he tweets OSP. Just wanted to thank you for stepping in and taking this fight last minute. Grateful for the opportunity to compete with you.
Nice. Okay. So then apparently DC had gone and said that he would train OSP, invited him to AKA, said he would train him and everything. So then
Jones didn't appreciate that too much. Willing to train OSP, he's speaking to DC.
Yeah.
Willing to train OSP and willing to pay for his expenses, which is, man, if that's true, that's pretty crazy. He's paying for his expenses to go and train at AKA. You're a sheep in wolf's clothing, and I see right through it. Followed by the P word.
The P word.
Use your imagination.
Which thankfully you don't use. Okay, so then a fan reminds Johnny Bones that DC had said, I'm willing to die in here. Die in there, rather. So, right.
Laughing at him. Jones replies, I'll offer my resources to OSP and hope that he can possibly do it for me. So now they're starting to take shots.
Right. Now they're, and so so then DC, John apparently, is calling him a coward. So DC says, coward is running from the scene of a crime without checking on person you hurt. Coward is refusing to fight Gustafsson. Coward is UFC 151, reminding everybody that John pulled out. DC goes on, John Jones. I love how he says that. John Jones, get your together. I'm coming for you. I've never been afraid of you or anyone in my entire life. You calling me a coward is insane. Your day will come. Biatch. Jones, you can't hurt me. You lunch like a bitch. Now, I don't know what that means.
Maybe he meant the right punch.
Yeah, although you lunch like a bitch,
maybe
it's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, you lunch like a bitch. You're just funny. What does that imply? Like, you eat like salads? Like,
Salad for lunch?
You lunch like a bitch. That's actually really funny.
I eat hot dogs. Right? That might be my new.
I was just gonna say, I might be keeping that one. You're not winning the decision next time. Just don't get your dumb ass arrested again, loser junkie. Then he keeps going. I don't know if he was on the anesthesia after. Oh my God, Jones is cool. He took a late notice fight. Yeah, I'd fight OSP too. I'd do it on 1 day notice. Harder fight. You'd tuck your tail again. Remember, Jones, I didn't call you a coward when you moved on our first fight due to injury. Hypocrite. That's the biggest word I'll use when talking to you. Last tweet, John, you are are dumb, like really dumb, get off your high horse and stop riding the white horse. Junkie, I'm gonna rip your head off.
Man, these guys.
Yeah.
John's retweets, laugh out loud, you mad, bro? I mean, obviously, he's pretty pissed. And the fan chimes in, at John Jones, you practically own the real estate in Cormier's head.
Yeah.
So everyone's starting to get involved now.
Yeah.
And you can tell DC he's fed up. He's probably, I don't know if he's in the hospital right now recovering.
I don't know at that point if he was. And then, he says, John's saying that you can feel this frustration, right? OSP chimes in saying that he appreciates the offer to train, but he's not going to do it. OSP, DC tells him good luck. It does go on quite a bit, but there is one here. Let's see. He's talking about being childish. Somebody says DC's childish. And DC says, yes, I'm childish, but I bet you praise Jones for being an adult, huh? He was in jail last week. Mm-hmm. He can't get over the jail thing.
Yeah, but that's really like his one thing to stab at him. He can't say you're a punk. He can't say you're not a good fighter.
Right.
I mean, all he can really go to is the negatives that John Jones, the baggage that he brings with him.
So here's my question to you, Alan. Have you ever had a fighter that like really got in your head? That you knew when you were going in there that you were emotional?
Yeah, I've experienced my share personally of guys that get on it in Twitter, and it sucks, man. I mean, that's part of, obviously, like we talked about with Conor. Yeah. Conor gets in everybody's head, and if somebody's constantly tweeting you all the time, and then other people are chiming in, and it really makes things difficult. DC needs to just get off of Twitter. Yeah. John Jones needs to get off of Twitter. John Jones needs to, he's already not behind a car. Finally, he got that. Right. John Jones needs to stop doing stuff because he just gets crazy, man. He starts getting personal.
Yeah, well, there's...
DC's just, it's way too much in his head right now.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing the one thing that I wanted to get to, DC is saying that he didn't put OSP down. He's a gentleman. Jones says, change your tampon, ice your shin splints, and he meant be ready. Yeah, for UFC 200. My practice is starting. I'll check in later. So here's the thing. And then there was another line where he says, DC says, John Jones, I want nothing more than to fight you. You're a 10-1 favorite. We don't like you. We side with anyone fighting you. It's simple. And then Jones says...
Where we're at on this one, laugh out loud. Who's we? You and your vagina.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know why the P word, the vagina. Why? They need to have their own Instagram account now because everybody seems to keep bringing them up.
Totally. Totally. And this is the thing is like, I'm really not bothered by a lot of stuff. And obviously I've heard the P word over and over. And when we were at Unstoppable, John kept calling him that and everything.
But you're a woman.
But and Conor said it, to Nate repeatedly and this and that so I just can we stop? Like, can we enough with that being the greatest insult of all? Because we know how badly you guys want that stuff. So how does the greatest thing that you guys want all day, every day, turn into an insult for weakness? I don't understand it.
It's the hot word right now when it comes to throwing out insults.
Apparently, you and your vagina. Well, guess what? I know a lot of people with vaginas that can beat dudes up.
Yeah, I guess.
You know what I mean? Like,
I do wonder how. Like we spoke about this earlier. The female fighters in UFC. I wonder if they're calling each other that as well.
I mean, because it's one thing to call somebody. Whatever. It's just
in a polite way. But yeah, I know. I feel like that word's been getting thrown around.
Oh my God!
Around all the time lately.
It is.
I notice it as well. It's kind of funny.
Well, there's our theater. We're already in round 3 here, but just to wrap that up, I hope John and DC do fight eventually. I don't think it will be a great surprise if John beats OSP, although OSP did say he obviously has nothing to lose, so he gets to run in here and just have it's a win-win situation for him.
Interesting to me, though, with this fight, OSP, he's a very big-bodied 205.
Yes.
He's a huge 205, and he's big enough, and his striking is sharp enough. He has holes in his striking, but when he does land stuff, he's very dangerous. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does rock John in his fight, and then John starts to chip away at him and take him down and finish him, because obviously the ground game has been shown to be OSP's weak point.
We saw with Glover that he was able to get kind of out-wrestled and everything, but OSP is a very powerful person, and there is something to be said for somebody going in with nothing to lose.
It's an intriguing fight at that. I'm very intrigued. It
still is fun. But now other intriguing fights that we didn't get to mention or talk about last week because we were off was the announcement that Conor and Nate would have a rematch that would be headlining UFC 200. Initially, what's your take on that? Do you like that fight or not?
It's somewhat weird for there to be not a title fight headlining, but if you're putting the butts in the seats, if you're the one making all the money, this is the super fight, this is what everybody wants to see, then I'm fine with it. I'm cool with it. I'm interested to see the fight. I think it's going to have more spectacle around any other title fights, so why not make it the headliner? The one thing I don't understand is why it's back at welterweight. Right. The last time it was for obvious reasons, short notice and whatnot. Nate wanted at 170. Now they have plenty of time for them both to make weight at 155. I hear that Conor's the one that insisted that it be back at welterweight. And so if that's the case, I think it's just a prideful thing with Conor. Maybe he just says, I want to beat him at the weight. If it's the UFC that's putting the spin on it, I think it possibly could be because if Conor goes to 55, if they fight at 55 and Conor loses to Nate, now he has 2 losses, Nate, and 1 at 55. So how can he then jump up to lightweight and make a run for the title if he already has a loss to a guy who's not, whatever he ranks?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, too, is for what I understand, Coach Kavanaugh wrote an article, and he was saying that he actually, wanted it at 155, that Conor wanted it at 170. And I agree with you. I think it's that whole point of wanting to repeat the situation to say, no, I can beat him at this. And, and he talked about how he didn't use his cardio or whatever efficiently, and that he would approach it differently. And it will be a different fight, obviously, with Nate having more time to prepare as well. That first round, Conor was doing very well against him. But again, the submission problem, if you want to call it a problem,
only twice,
still there.
But it's still there. His losses were only from that. So
And it's not that Nate's going to get any worse at jiu-jitsu between now and then. I mean, I think that's still going to be a real threat.
And Nate's not an explosive, fast twitch, muscle fiber type athlete, but he's a guy that's ran numerous triathlons and whatnot. So the Diaz brothers have shown that they can take damage. Of course. They've got scar tissue, they bleed. So even though Conor did a great job at trying to knock his head off in the first round, we see that a lot of times with Diaz brothers. They take shots, they bleed, and they keep coming forward, and they don't get tired. Conor will tire a lot quicker than Nate will in this next fight, and like you said, his jiu-jitsu will always be there for him.
Well, and I do wonder too if also the like you said, we know that the Diaz boys can go the 5 rounds. What if, because Conor is used to winning fights sooner. Okay, so granted he lost that last one, but I do wonder sometimes if there's that mentality of like, this fool is still here. I'm not done yet. What, you know what I mean? Because Conor hasn't had to go a long time, whereas Nate is used to being in a fight for a longer amount of time. And again, you're the pro here. I don't know. I mean, like, have there been times when you thought you were really hurting somebody and you're like, how the crap is this dude still here?
It's absolutely discouraging when you give your best effort, when you land that money punch and you feel like that was solid, and then the guy just keeps walking forward. How does it not discourage you? Every fighter is used to training where, okay, you just keep pushing, keep pushing. But everybody eventually has some sort of breaking point. We're just trained to push our breaking points a lot faster. And Conor just showed that in that fight. That was the first time he'd really been tested. Like you said, he's used to taking guys out. They feel his power. They crumble. He knocks guys out in the first round. This round, what did the fight go to? The second, third round?
And I'm not saying he gave up. I'm just saying.
No, but
in the rematch, if Nate's still there,
he might not have mentally gave up. But once he started cracking him and Nate didn't go away, he started inefficiently using his energy and power because when do we see Conor shoot? After cracking him as hard as he could and Nate not going anywhere, Conor started shooting, and that was because he was kind of mentally breaking. He said, "Man, it's not happening on the feet. Let me try something else." So it'll be an interesting fight, and I think although it's not for a title belt, I think everybody wants to see this fight again. So
I'm looking forward to it. I do also think that I don't necessarily think that Conor lost any of his shine necessarily. You know what I mean? Okay, fine, he lost a fight, but I think in a way the humility with which he handled it, I think the fact that he's, getting right back in there to try to win it back, like, I don't think he necessarily lost much.
Well, no, I agree, and that's the difference between, and I'm not trying to make this argument, but between MMA and boxing, where boxing is you're looking for that undefeated fighter, that guy that they built for so many years, and a la the Mayweathers and everything. But in UFC, and in UFC in particular, I mean MMA in general, nobody stays undefeated. Really, nobody. doesn't lose, and you're fighting the best guys in the world, different weight classes, different techniques. You know, you're gonna have a loss in your record, but when you have the star power as Conor, and you can still talk the trash to bring in the pay-per-view buys, you still have the mystique about you.
For sure. Well, as we go into round 4 here, let's talk about somebody that Conor did beat, and that, of course, is Jose Aldo, who we know now will be fighting Frankie Edgar, UFC 200 for the interim featherweight title, because as we mentioned, now it will have been 6 months with no defense. I do wonder. I'm okay with this being for an interim belt. I think it's cool. I think it's like, I guess, the next best thing you could give Jose. Right?
Yeah, and you've got.
Do you think, and Frankie? I mean, for both of them, it's the next best thing, right?
You got to keep the division moving. You can't have everything held up because one man decides to do something else. I like the interim titles. It keeps the division moving. It keeps other fighters happy. Yeah. And then it makes the title matchup eventually when Conor does fight the winner of those two. It makes it exciting. You have two guys fighting for the belt.
But do you think? Here's the thing, though. The longer he's away from 145, like, you really believe he'll come and defend it, right, Conor, or not? That's what I'm asking.
Is that a question?
It's a question. Do you think he'll defend it? Because I wonder.
It's interesting, man, because he's already had a 70. Now he's got ample time, couple of months to fight again at 70. So he's probably working a different strength and conditioning now. Now he's not working on just speed and mobility and the stuff that you see in the touch button apart. Now he's probably actually working on putting on size and strength and power. Right. And once you add that kind of muscle, it's really hard to take that muscle away. And you don't want to. It gives you confidence once you've built this armor around you. So it'll be tough, man. If we see Conor come in even more jacked up in this fight, for him to go back down to 45 is going to be tough.
So who do you like in this then? Well, we know that Frankie Edgar has lost to Jose before, but they went, the distance. Those guys are both so incredibly tough. Yeah. I feel like in this fight now, Jose has more to prove. Like, it's ridiculous to me that a guy who didn't lose in 10 years has something to prove. Right. You know what I mean? But obviously that loss to Conor is problematic, for his legacy. I'm sure in his head, that's got to drive him crazy. So I feel like he has more to prove in coming out here and just smashing Frankie. Whereas Frankie's got the idea of proving, like, look, I'm the guy that's constantly overlooked. Here's why you can't overlook me anymore. I'm going to beat this guy this time. I
look at it like that from Frankie's point of view. I look at it like an Anderson Silva point of view, where Anderson Silva seemed like no one could beat him for so many years. Yeah. And once he was beat, everyone started seeing, okay, this guy is not invincible. Right. Jose finally got his first loss. Frankie is so hungry for the title shot. I'm going to go with Frankie on this one.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Frankie.
Really?
He's been scratching at it for so long.
I'm acting like I disagree. I don't even know. I don't know.
Frankie wants it so bad. Yeah. Jose finally got upset. He got knocked unconscious, and it does something for your confidence. As we said earlier, if you're a confident fighter, you're going to be a good fighter. And Frankie's got to be riding a wave of confidence after seeing Jose get knocked out.
Well, and what he did to Chad. But here's the thing. I will say Chad's chin is not as strong as Jose's, likely. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
A lot of people were saying Frankie didn't have knockout power, and obviously he proved that he did. Unfortunately, Chad just had a tougher go of it, and I feel like, that wasn't as surprising as Jose getting knocked out with the one punch. Yeah. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I'm taking it that one, because I can't believe Jose will. I know everybody's like, failure's not an option, but I can't believe in his head it's anything. But it's not. It cannot happen. Do you know what I mean? It cannot happen. And I don't know, to equate it to the Anderson thing with Anderson losing to Mike, I don't know, but it's going to be good. But I want to hear the trash talk for either between Jose and Frankie for what they're going to be saying to Conor after that fight. Oh, yeah. Because both of them have got a mouthful of stuff to say to that guy.
I figure probably half the fights on that card are going to call out Conor after this one. So be prepared to see a lot of people grabbing the mic. I love to watch Jose. I love to watch Jose fight. I love to watch him more than Frankie. Just I like his style.
Yeah. Well, you're a kicker too. You like to employ some kicks. So
he's stylistically kind of friendly to my style.
Right.
But yeah, I'm going with Frankie. I'm going out on the limb, maybe not. But I see Frankie maybe getting the job done this fight, and then maybe Conor comes back down. Who knows? But he'll have a belt. He'll have an interim belt.
Well, and the thing about Frankie too is, he's so high output. He's so, and again, you want to talk about somebody with so much belief in himself. I don't know about that
it's
fight.
A tough one
I don't know about the fight. The other ones on there, don't answer. Before we get into round 5, the other fights on there, Cain versus Travis Brown. I like that fight.
Cain, that's.
I like that fight.
Yeah.
Two different bodies, two different styles. Johnny Hendricks versus Kelvin Gastelum's on there. Gegard is going to fight Derek Brunson. Diego Sanchez and Joe Lozon. That'll be bloody.
That's going to be a fun fight. Diego Sanchez and Joe Lozon.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys have probably so many fight of the night performances between them. I wonder where they're going to put that on the card. That could be a main event prelim or.
I think it's probably the last prelim. I'm guessing because you feel like there's still going to be probably one other. Yeah. There may be like a Robbie Lawler fight in there.
And there'll probably be a woman's fight. They usually throw at least one woman's fight on the main card.
You need some vaginas on the card.
You need exactly.
Besides just the ring girls, we need to have
we
some
tied it in somehow.
P's and vages up in there to get the crowd going. So it'll be fun, and you'll go to that, right? It'll be fun.
I'll probably be at it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure.
So this weekend in Croatia. We have got a big heavyweight card. So I'm actually doing this one. I'll be over at Fox for the weigh-ins. I got a 5:30 a.m. call time.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. Bringing back my old radio. I used to do radio. I was on from 6 in the morning till 9 a.m. and I did 5 days a week.
Tough,
it was. But it's fun. So I still have like that muscle memory of getting up and doing it. But Junior Dos Santos is facing Big Bren Rothwell, and then there's a bunch of other, there's a lot of heavyweights on this card, and it's free. It's on Sunday night on FS1, so maybe there's a lot of names that you never heard of, but it's free. Like what? And there's the basketball is over for college anyway and stuff, right? So I'm curious how you think this is going to go. As a reminder, Ben Rothwell, number 4, he beat Josh Burnett, Matt Mitrione, and Overeem in his last 3 fights.
Impressive wins,
big time. And Junior Dos Santos, most recently he lost to Overeem, but he beat Stipe. He had lost to Cain, but he had beat Mark Hunt before that. And between the Stipe fight and the Overeem, he had taken like a year off. And I feel like that was what was harder about the loss to Overeem, was that it was after this big time off where people were thinking, okay, maybe, he had taken too many fights too soon and he'll be refreshed and reinvigorated. And then he came out and lost to Overeem. I feel like that loss for Junior, that was a tough one.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, he got knocked out in that fight, right?
It
was like it was like a left hook that caught him on the chin and put him down. Whereas the fights before, I don't know what's worse, but when Cain was just maliciously pounding his brain in for a couple, 2 fights for 5 rounds, however long it lasted. Junior's a guy that a lot of people worry about, man, because he's taken such beatings, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, he's such a great fighter, and he's given beatings himself. With some of the beatings that he's taken, it was like Rocky movies where he wouldn't get knocked out, but he was knocked out on his feet.
And he's too tough for his own good. Like with Cain, you're like, come on, man. Like
it's sometimes that maybe the corner man.
Yes.
I
think they should have.
It's so tough for you to throw in the towel when your guy still has fight in him. But in the long run, those fights against Cain were so bad for him. But like you alluded to, he took time off. Maybe that's what people were saying. Let him take some time off. Let his brain heal. Let his body heal. Let him come back strong. He did that. And then after that, he got knocked out unconscious. Yeah. Which could happen to anyone. But I'm just saying, he hadn't really been knocked out before that against Cain. And after time off, he did get knocked out. So it's showing that, once you get concussed, once you get knocked out, you're more likely to get concussed again. Because of that,
you're going Ben Rothwell.
I'm going with Big Ben, man.
See, and here's the thing, Junior is a guy that when you talk about the whole like the gentle giant, you know what I mean, the teddy bear, like this one of the sweetest guys. But I do think the Cain fights maybe took more out of him than he's been able to recover. I know when the time off, people are like, oh, maybe he should lose some muscle mass. Maybe that'll be good for him. That way he'll have more stamina throughout the fights. I think that the Stipe fight was very good. I feel like Stipe actually might have squeaked that win out. I mean, I'd have to go back and watch it again. I think at the time, I remember sitting there going, man, like, this is really, 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 really close. Ben is such a weird guy though, because everybody. I don't mean personally. I don't really know him much, but
his fighting style, and his personality.
The guys talk about that they talk. I mean, I'm sorry, you said it. That that he's so unconventional that it's actually very hard to train for him because you're not supposed to stand up square.
No.
Right? You're not supposed to, so all these things that he does in his fighting style that you're not supposed to do actually screw the other person over because they're like, I'm a professional fighter here and I know I'm supposed to do this.
We're
and it's
used
not
to
working.
seeing things a certain way. When they come in from different angles, it's weird. Yeah, but he has power behind him.
Apparently, and it's just the dancing. My God.
The laughing, the dancing, the interviews. And it took me a moment, but now I'm a fan.
But now you like it.
So.
Well, here's my question to you then. Do you think that is organic? Like, has Ben Rothwell always been like that, and before he just hit it, and now that because of social media and the way people are, now that you're so sort of supposed to have a more outsized personality, that he's let out the real Ben Rothwell, or do you think that he sort of created the evil laugh and all that stuff now?
A combination. To me, it's a combination. I think he's always been a little bit of a quirky guy in his head. I think he's probably, he's a big guy. He's probably maybe had trouble meeting people, friends when he was young. Who knows? He's such a big, sometimes hairy guy. And I think he had this kind of quirkiness in his head. And once he started getting confidence from these amazing wins against these top-level athletes, he had the confidence to come out and just say, let me try new things. And with, like you said, the social media, the talking shit, the way that it builds momentum these days, he's probably saying, let me go out on a limb, let me try this out. I mean, he tested out that laugh during an interview. And some of the interviews that he's had following that have just been great. Some of them, they're hit or miss, but he's trying new things. He's confident. I'm digging it, but I think it kind of spawned from the success that he's having.
I think so too, and the dance after the win and this and that, right? I mean, listen,
You ever speechless?
No, I remember interviewing him a long time ago. I think it was at UFC 140 or whatever when John and Rashad fought. I think it was the same in Atlanta, and he had actually was saying that he was going to retire if he hadn't won that night. So the guy has had a very a great career resurgence. I give him props for that. And like you said, you can't beat Mitrione, Barnett, and Overeem and not be good. So apparently, obviously, if he wins again on Sunday, title shot. Gotta have it. Like at this point, you can't deny the guy a title shot.
He's on an amazing run. I mean, 3 of his last wins were like against top 5, top 10 guys, whatever. And the way that he won, to submit Barnett, to pretty much knock out Overeem. Submitted, it's going to be an exciting fight, and like you said, on a Sunday, free. It's like football night in America.
I know. Well, it'll be interesting though. There's going to be some names I'm not sure how I'm going to pronounce. So there's going to be there's a lot of like Eastern Europeans.
I saw that. But our boys on there, the Black Beasts. The
Black Beast.
Black Beast, mate.
Derek Lewis.
Who's he fighting? Gonzaga. That'll be an interesting fight.
I know.
Good one.
So that'll be fun. So I'm doing the weigh-in show. That's on Saturday morning, and right now I'm not scheduled to be doing fight night. Supposedly that's going to be Jay there, but sometimes I get the call last minute. Like I get a short notice fight. Like I get a short notice. So I may be on Sunday as well. But
don't be a vagina and back out. Okay. That's the last one. I promise. After this is no more.
That's hilarious. Well, I was telling we were having this argument, and I was like, I can tell you which one of these is stronger, a dick or a vag. Like if you want to know which one is stronger, see which one can hold out longer. There's
This is an interesting talk. I'm not even sure what we mean really. I'm just gonna keep quiet right now.
Not either. But so congratulations again to you on your new contract and everything. So and the Lomo came out, right? Your spread so
Vogue Lomo. I don't know how to say it, but Vogue magazine is out right now, and then I have At Large magazine coming out in a couple of days. So,
nice.
Exciting.
Very nice. So in the downtime between before we would hear for your next fight announcement, you're still training obviously, but you just dial it back a little bit, right? Just kind of
that's the goal. Every fight I always say, after this fight, I'm not going to go on the yo-yo diet. I'm not going to eat Snickers for breakfast, and I'm just going to stay training. And every fight, I consistently fail at that because you for 8-10 weeks of eating salad and clean and working out twice a day, when you can sleep late, wake up, drink coffee, and eat Reese's for breakfast, Reese's with your son, then why wouldn't you do it? So the only difference that I've been eating horribly, but I've still been training. I'm probably fighting sometime early July.
Nice.
fight announcements coming soon. Contract stuff going on. Right. You know how it is.
Before, you were lunching like a bitch.
I like that. I love it.
Lunch like a bitch, eating salads and stuff. So as I mentioned, we have I've got the fight stuff this weekend. We have UFC tonight. Misha's going to be in. The champ's going to be in with us tomorrow. So that'll be fun. And I don't have any magazine photo shoots coming up. I don't have any of that.
Just a TV show, but Fox. Never heard of it.
Whatever. Yeah. So on social media, where can they find you?
Same thing, at Alan Joban, Twitter, Instagram, hit me up.
All right, cool. And you can find me on Instagram as KB Heat. On Twitter, it's Karyn Bryant. You can always look for MMA Heat on Facebook and on YouTube. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. We got a lot of stuff coming up. There's a media day tomorrow for the fights in LA here, Weidman and Luke. And then there's stuff for Tampa. So we'll have a lot of stuff coming up. So please do check it out. But for now, thanks for watching. See you next time.
Peace.